If you can't see something, I'm going to use Zoom a lot, okay? But if you can't see something, throw money, or just let me know, okay? Sure. Yeah, okay, not change, no. Change hurts. Change isn't cool. Bills.
You're going to pay my phone bill?
Good luck.
Well, he suggested throwing bills.
Now, okay, so for all the people out here who are not at the past summit, who traveled? Is everybody just like within an hour or so? Did anybody come in like a long distance? Just curious. Portland, that counts. That's a long distance. Anybody else? No? Okay, cool. You're all lazy. That's cool. All right, 3 more minutes. Start on time, end on time, sugar them up, send them home. That's no, that's called Boston. Enjoy. All right, let's get this thing set up. Hey! Ooh, I get a hug. That's how it works. This modern technical age. Huh? Okay. I'm not coming out there. You have to come up. All right, 2 more minutes, we'll get going. Oh, you know what? Slides won't advance without that.
Your earrings say sequel.
Oh, my God. Okay, when we get done, I got to get a picture so I can tweet it. Oh, that's great. I get to be the first to tweet it out. Oh, that's great. That's so cool. Come on in, plenty of room. Again. If you can't see something in the back, I will be using Zoom it, but if you can't see it, you just got to let me know, all right? Please. You snuck in. And you thought I wouldn't notice. Wrong room. Yeah. I guess in theory, this is, there we go. It's time. All right. Sorry, you're late. You have to go. All right. I'm assuming you're in the right room. This is the title slide. Everyone's had plenty of time to read it. Please, honestly, yeah, we've been begging you. Talk to the people in the red shirts. If there's feedback about this event, if you have information that we need to have that you haven't told somebody, please tell us. You can use Twitter, #SQL tweet stuff. I don't care, but get in touch with us. Let us know, all right? If you got anything out of today, if it was just breakfast, lunch, and a beer later, the one thing you can give us back is feedback, right? Feedback's a gift, and we'd appreciate it. You know, it's that easy. All right, here's our agenda. I'm going to talk about process-focused development. I'm going to talk about the Sandbox. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about sandboxes, and I'm going to talk about some cool tools and ways that you can do sandbox development. All right? I'm a freak for this. I love development process. I don't know why. Something broken in here. But it's fun. This is my contact information. Please use it. I will put this up again at the end of the slide deck. Feel free. Get in touch. Comments, questions, suggestions. I need them, right? And you've now got my contact information. I'm not hiding from anybody. Right. Let's talk process-focused development. Come on in. Good God. Give me a process. Okay, I'll start. Waterfall. Give me another one. Agile, of course. What else? Scrum. What else? Ad hoc. Yeah. I like you. Come on, there's some government ones too. We've got government people, and there's some government-developed processes. They've got really weird names. No, not red tape. That's good, though. What? ITIL. That's one. Anything else? Okay, cool. That's enough. Here's the deal. I don't care. DBAs, straight up. How many? Great. Oh, my God. Usually you put up Sandbox development process, DBAs go, pfft. And then it's a room full of developers, and I'm going, guys, you already know what you're doing. This is for the DBAs, right? So developers straight up, cool, okay. You guys take any of this information that's useful to you back to your DBAs and say, Grant Fritchey, this guy you've never heard of, says do this, and now you have to do it, okay? It won't work, but you can try. Anybody else? Management? They never raise their hands. They're in here. They never raise their hands. It's funny. Here's the deal. I don't care what process we're following. I just don't care. But we need to come up with one. There has to be a process, whatever it is. And if you want to make it up, great. My process. Cool. But what we're going to do is developers are doing agile. Great. Developers are doing feature-driven development. Fantastic. They're doing test-driven development. They're crazy, but okay. Whatever the developers are doing, whatever process the developers follow, whatever methodologies the developers are using for release, as a DBA, as a database developer, I'm going to follow that process. And again, I don't care what it is, but I need to understand it, it needs to be defined, and I need to be able to follow it. Once I can follow that process, then my databases are going to match up with your code, and we're all going to be a lot happier at the end of the day. All right? It's that simple. Again, I'm not worrying about what kind of process it is, but here's the deal. Please, please write it down. Okay? If your process is in here and you're working on a team of 2, great. Right? Because you can always tell the other guy what it is. If you're working on a team of 3 or more, I guarantee you somebody thinks the process is other than what it actually is. Right? So you write it all down. You document it. You lay it out. You make sure everybody's on board. And by the way, really make sure they're on board. We had a team. We sat down. We worked it out. We said, this is how we're going to do it. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. This is how we're going to do development. This is how we're going to do it. Cool, great. Yeah, I'm in. You know, yeah, this is how we're going to do it. Okay, cool. So deployments are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Excellent. Deployments are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Monday morning comes around. Hey, Grant, we need a deployment. No, deployments are tomorrow. No, we need one now. It's an emergency. Okay, sure, no problem. Do a deployment. Great. Monday afternoon, guess what? We need a deployment. We're doing one tomorrow morning. Yeah, but you know there was a problem with the one this morning, and so we need to do another one. Okay, fine. You know, I'll do it. Because it's just this one time. Well, it's twice, but okay. Cool. Tuesday morning we do the deployment. Tuesday afternoon, guess what? Oh, man, the deployment this morning was messed up. I'm like, yeah, and we'll have one on Thursday. Like, no, we need one now. Okay, cool. You know what I'm going to do? Remember our document that we all agreed on? We spent 3 weeks laying out because you guys wanted to talk about it. We're going to modify it, and you're going to sign off on it that says, we get to do deployment anytime you want. Well, no, that's not our process. Exactly. Right? Stick to it. Whatever it is, stick to it. I don't care what we do. You know, and if it really does come down to our process is you do what we tell you to when we tell you to do it. Great. Write that down and sign it. Because when I'm like trying to deal with the other 6 development teams that I'm dealing with, I have to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't do what you need right now because I've got this other team over here making me do this. And the 2 of you can go and chat, which is always fun. But what are we processing, right? What are we building here? My belief, right? This is really just like, I'm literally exposing like my years of pain, right? This is really what this is about. This is not, I'm not defining stuff that you must do. I'm not some sort of expert that's got all these knowledge and stuff. That I'm just literally exposing pain and trying to prevent you guys from having the same. I believe you start off in the sandbox. I believe you start off in one location, a single spot where developers can get stuff done. And I'll talk about why in a little bit. What happens from that sandbox environment, no matter what, because I'm assuming, by the way, everybody in here who's working completely all on their own, I'm the only guy, I do everything all myself, and nobody else is involved. You can leave, and you can leave, and you can leave. This is really focused on teams. And the fact is that when you're working this way, you've got one guy, two guys, three guys, five guys, women, and guys too. You guys are guys too, okay? For purposes of this argument. Eventually, you've got to go to some kind of shared environment. Now, whether that's a continuous integration environment or you've got some kind of special methodology for doing testing, great, all cool, all great, and all written down, right? It's all part of our process. You're going to eventually go to the shared development. And then you're going to find out that stuff that you did in your sandbox, it worked on my machine. Everybody in the last session, same thing. Yeah. You're going to go back and find out that the stuff didn't work, so you got to go back to your machine again. Sooner or later, you're going to get to go to a testing environment. Now, whether it's QA, whether you call it quality assurance, or whether you just call it testing, whether it's financial testing, whether it's unit testing, cool, great. Again, process, whatever it is, there's some methodology. You're going to go in and you're going to test your code. After your code gets tested, guess what? You find out that you messed something up, or you find out that the requirements that were very, very carefully defined weren't really what everyone wanted, and so it goes back again. And then sooner or later, you get to go to staging. Staging, the way someone put it to me earlier, and I really kind of liked it, was staging is nothing but a QA environment for the DBAs. Staging is where you test prior to production, right? It's your validation point. Will I blow up production if I run this script? Yes, okay. Stop, don't do that. Fix it, test it again on staging. Once it's good, great. After it's good, you can get to production, okay? Yay, we're in production. Guess what? It starts all over again, because anybody here worked on a project that just got released and never, ever, 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 ever got updated in any way, shape, or form? You did? Okay. Me neither. Everything gets changed. I mean, the only way you can do that is say, yeah, I worked on one, it got released, and then the company folded. Or I worked on one, and it got released, and then I moved to another job real quick. Right? But that doesn't count. Somebody somewhere was probably updating that code, unless, of course, the company went away. All right, so let's talk about this. Yes, this looks kind of like a waterfall. No, you don't have to do all these steps. Minimum, dev, it's glass. Minimum, some kind of dev process. Minimum, some kind of testing process. And I am assuming you have production. It's a leap, right? Minimum 3. You can add in more, great, but don't think of it as a waterfall. It looks like a waterfall, and it really upsets me that it does, but it's actually, think of it as a bunch of gears. This one's turning really, really fast. This one's turning slower, this one's turning slower, this one's turning slower, and hopefully this one's turning really slow and continuously, right? If that gear pops off, you got a problem. All right, let's talk about it. The sandbox, because that's really where it all starts, and this is where I came out of development. I'm a DBA. Man, I am a DBA. I'm a jerk. I'm mean. I'm nasty. I am unreasonable, and I like it. Okay? And all the developers are going, dude, I don't remember working with you before. I'm absolutely a DBA, but I came out of development, and I love developers. I really love developers. And I believe developers are extremely capable, smart people. And here's the really cool part. Developers spent years and years and years working on development processes. Cool. Let's work with them, right? Let's help them. Developers are also really smart people, and they need to learn. How do they learn? How do you best learn? Screw up, right? Dig a deep hole really fast. And then when you're standing there at the bottom, wow, I messed up. You can learn from it, hopefully. I frequently refer to a person called Timmy. in sessions that I do. Timmy is my alter ego and also several people I've worked with. And Timmy doesn't learn from mistakes. Timmy makes them over and over again. But the thing is that if you're working in a shared environment, mistakes are costly. If you're, oh, by the way, if you're making those same mistakes, if you're developing straight to prod, cool. Consultants, raise your hand. All right, those are the guys you need to go talk to because they will help you fix that stuff. All right? Mistakes are very, very costly. Think about it like this. A shared development environment for the development team, that's production. The shared development environment goes down. In theory, development's gone down. And that's costly. In theory, you're losing, you're messing up your code, you're hurting the quality of the code, you're causing all kinds of problems. And that integrated environment needs to be smooth, right? So you need to make your mistakes, yes. You need to go as fast as you possibly can. I don't want developers to slow down, right? Developers, honestly, DBAs, we slow you down. It's okay, nod your head. Nobody's going to throw rocks. You're right, we do. Sometimes on purpose, like, you can't develop in production. No, you can't have read access. I'm sorry. No, you can't. But in this place, this is something I want to give you and say, yeah, burn it down. Have a good time. Test everything you want. You don't believe me that that's how SQL Server works? Cool. Prove me wrong. Oh, look, it crashed. Right? But that's fine because you keep all your toys to yourself. You isolate yourself off. You wall yourself off from everyone else, and you make those nasty, dirty mistakes, and nobody cares. How do you do sandbox development? DBAs, guys, we're not doing it right. I know probably, especially because this is a RedGate event, most people in here probably at least have heard of or talked about source control, right? But by and large, as a population, the DBAs, database developers, are doing it wrong. We are not using source control. The developers are doing it right. They know what they're doing. They've got Git, they've got Mercurial, they've got SVN, they've got TFS. The really stupid ones are still using VSS. But it's still source control, okay? Or the ones that are working for the government and still have never gotten an update for them. Sorry, picking on you guys. Can't help it. You're going to start in source control. The only way to define a sandbox environment is to come out of source control. You must come out of source control. That allows you to always have a repeatable process. If you've got a single source, you go to a sandbox. Then from there, you can go into a continuous integration environment. You can go into a shared server. You can start to work these processes, but you've got to start from source control. So, great. We've gotten you walled off. You actually believe me. Yeah, this Grant guy knows what he's talking about. Maybe. Isolate it off. Cool. With what? What do we all want? Production. Everybody wants production, right? Come on, production data. You got to have it. It's the only known set of data you've got is production data. That is the best known set. Okay, DBAs. What set of data are we not going to give developers? And therein lies a problem, okay? We don't want you guys to have production. Possibly, legally, we can't give it to you. I know that the healthcare, what is the HIPAA? Thank you. There's a new set of restrictions coming out. In the past, they have said it is suggested that the production data doesn't go down to development environments. Not anymore. The new requirements are going to be you can't. So you guys are going to have to come up with some kind of process. Ta-da! Yay! Life is good for vendors. Okay, so we're going to build a sandbox. We can simply build an empty database. It works. Tell you a quick story, one of my favorite stories. I love this team. I learned so much from this team. I learned process, I learned tuning, I learned, how to hit people and get away with it. That's hard, by the way. Kids, don't try this at home. We're a trained professional. This team went off on their own. They had a junior DBA who was helping them. He really, really didn't know what he was doing. And Timmy was his name. And they built the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. It was multi-statement table value user-defined function, which called other multi-statement table value user-defined functions, which joined to multi-statement table value user-defined functions, which were calling other multi-statement table value user-defined functions, to the level of 56 layers down. It was... She just stole. It was an object-oriented database built completely inside of SQL Server, and it was beautiful. And it was gorgeous. And when I saw it for the first time, I cried. But not because it was pretty, but because I knew that this was going to crash and burn in production, right? And so here it is. Here's this thing. Here it comes. You know, they've tested it. Really? You've tested it? Oh, yeah, we've tested it. It works great. Can you show me how you tested it? Yeah, yep. And they had a code generator. The code generator built out the database and it inserted a row. And then they ran one row. And then they ran the stuff. Now, everybody knows multi-statement table value user-defined functions work off of table variables. And table variables in the optimizer work off the basis of one row. One row, because there are no statistics. 0 statistics, 1 row. Guess what? 1 row worked. When we put it into production, it stopped. And no, I don't mean, understand, I don't mean it ran slow. I mean, we loaded data, they hit go, and it never came back. It ran, I think it was around 12 hours when we just turned it off. I mean, the CPU was pegged. I mean, it was just really cool. It was really cool. So, lesson learned. This is a bad choice, right? Developers, bless their hearts, it's not because they're stupid, it's just because they don't know, are going to make bad choices there. They're going to put in that 1 row, do the test, everything works. So empty database is a bad choice. So we're going to get them a database and we're going to get them data. How do you do that? Okay, cool. Maybe you go to Redgate Software and buy data generator, right? Maybe. It can work, okay? And I'm not saying you should. I'm not trying to sell it. There's issues with it. 1, it's a hell of a lot of work to set up. 2, it's a hell of a lot of work to maintain. 3, it doesn't look like production. And therein lies the problem. It doesn't look like production. So you've got to do something to make it look like production, and that's even more work. Okay, fine. So what's the best method? You go and you restore production. Here, everybody's got 5 terabytes on their laptop, right? Can't do that, right? Or we're hitting the legal limits. We're hitting problems there, so we can't do that. So what about using a virtual database? You can't do a full database because you don't have enough room. I mean, I'm running a laptop here. It's a nice, pretty laptop, but it's, you know, Macintosh, so they don't give you very much data storage because really you don't need any. Got external disks at home in order to load up multiple virtuals and have fun. So you're going to run into problems. SQL Virtual Restore is a product from Redgate, and I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just telling you it's one of the solutions. Here's what I do. You can just get to a copy. Virtual Restore allows you to mount a backup as if it were a disk. And you're thinking, well, okay, but how's that save me space? Well, okay, you put a backup out here on a shared server. You mount it, you mount it, you mount it, I mount it, you mount it, you mount it, you mount it. Up to, I've heard, up to 20. I've seen up to 15. All connected to the same backup. Now, did we save space? Oh, yeah. Tons of space. Tons and tons and tons of disk space has been saved because we're all looking at one set of data that's stored out on the server. But if you just do that mount clean, right, exactly straight from production, we're violating laws. So what we're going to do is clean it up. But if we clean it up, now the thing gets big, right? So now I've got to run all these scripts locally to clean up the data, and now I've got access to production data until I get the cleanup script done. So that's a problem. So what if we did a cleanup and then did a backup? And now we're using a little bit more space because we've got a second backup, although we could overwrite the first backup. But now what we've got is cleaned set of data that's backed up and mounted using virtual restore. And the beauty of mounting virtual restore is that it uses almost no space locally. It's pretty slick. Don't believe me? Let's play. Yes, ma'am. Nope. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I can't either. Oh, there we go. Look, SQL Server. Who knew? It's going to generate an error. Oh, no, cool. Okay, let's close this off. And let's, 1 second. I forgot to set this up, and you guys in the back are hating me right now. 1 second, sorry. And this is great for the videotape. Hi, everybody at home. 1 second. God, slow down. Jeez Louise, you know. Everybody's a comedian. Oops, God, that went up to 20. That's not good. I want 18. Relax. I know what to do. Yeah, this is cool. All right, cool. No, I'm not using Comic Sans. Good gosh. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to run a backup, straight up. DBAs, explain this to the developers. All right. Everybody agrees that's a backup. Everybody agrees that's going to override any existing backup. Nobody's shocked. Anybody surprised? Anybody never seen this before? Raise your hand if you've never seen this before, because you need to go back to your office now. Okay, so the backup is run. I'm going to do a, huh? Yeah, well, it's, by the way, this is a little tiny database I do tests on, and it is really tiny, and it's tiny, cheap, and fast because I need to do demos, okay? This isn't real production. All right. Restore database from disk with move, replace, right? Anybody shocked? Surprised, weirded out. How about now? Can you see that? The only thing I've changed, that is a straight up T-SQL command. Everyone agrees? Right? Nothing funky, nothing weird. The only thing I've changed is that, vmdf, vldf. If I run this, in theory, cool. I get a database. Where'd my mouse go? Pin this, go to databases, do a refresh, and there it is. Okay? Everybody agree? Cool. Let's take a look at something. Let's go to here. Come on. Let's go to here. Cool. There is my movie management database right there, okay? And I'm going to zoom, don't worry. Log and data. Log here, data here, and yes, the log shouldn't be bigger than the data. Cope. Okay? Here's my new database, right? MMS and MMS underscore log. Everybody remember that from the? Okay, cool. Ooh, that's bad. Hang on. That's going to cause us problems later. Sorry, Macintosh acts funny. Delete. There we go. No. Trust me, that was a leftover file. Everybody's thinking like, oh God. What's he done? What's this moron done? Yeah. This database that I ran a restore on is this database here. Okay? All those are little stub files that hide what's going on inside the database. It's a... Okay, now, I am not done. Let me just show you. Let's hide this again.
So it was just the extension you changed, and
That's it, but I have to have virtual restore installed. This isn't native to SQL Server.
Is that a per server product or is that a client?
It's per server product.
Is that in the development budget?
No. So, I want to show you that I can actually modify this data, okay? So this is just a link database. This is mounted to that other backup, but I can go in there and modify it. Do a use, run the command, and it ran and it updated the data. And it did it. Now, here's the deal. What I'm doing is pretend for a moment. This is production data. It's not, okay? This is an example. Let's pretend this is production data. Let's pretend that the other details column is, say, I don't know, phone numbers. Oh, anybody do this one? This one's cool, because I did this one. I'm guilty of this. I gave production data to the development team, and the developer was working on emails, right? Automated emails. And he was writing the code, and he was testing it out. And this developer had a sense of humor, so he sent out an adult-themed, shall we say, email to the client list. Because I gave him everything. Yeah, we had one of those nice long conversations. Have you ever had one of those conversations?
How can we prevent this from ever happening again?
That was my fault. So let's pretend that's what this is. I set this to null now. Okay, so I've updated the data in that database. If we went back and looked at the file group, we'll notice that these have grown because the modifications are stored there. Okay? The original backup is still intact. We're not touching it. So any modifications are going there. Let's do something else. Let's back up that database. Yes?
So the backup just a snapshot for that moment in production?
It's a backup. It's a SQL Server backup. It's not a snapshot. It's a SQL Server backup. Yeah, .bak. Yeah. No, nothing. No, you can use SQB and all that stuff works. I'm showing you native because the fact is this is just a cool trick. I'm not saying it's a cool trick. It's actually great functionality. So now I'm going to run a backup. Again, everybody recognize the script?
Yep.
But notice it is my movie management straight database that I'm backing up now. Okay? The mounted virtual database I'm running a backup on. Okay? So I run that. Guess what? It ran because it's a database. SQL Server doesn't know any better. Virtual Restore is running underneath at the file level, and it's intercepting calls and managing everything down there. So let's take a look at something. Back up. Yeah, I've got all this stuff in there still. Here's the mmclean.back I just created, right? Oops. Sorry. My bad. And there's the mmclean, there's the backup that I had originally. Notice something about the two of them. What? What happened? Say it. You got it right. Because I set the values to null, I've changed the amount of data that's being stored inside the system, so this backup is smaller than that backup. But the cool trick is, it's a backup. Yeah, now I've got a backup with clean data that I can start creating sandboxes on. That's the trick, okay? Let's go back to here. Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
Greg, what happens if you have a virtual restore ready and someone backs up to the backup file
Yeah. Doctor, it hurts when I stab this knife in the side of my head. Yeah, you can't do it. Yeah, it'll cause you all kinds of problems. You probably, depending on how it's done, you can probably get an error on the backup process as it tries to overwrite that file. But I won't guarantee that. I won't guarantee that. It could mess up. It really just believe me, I've played with it and I've broken this a lot of different ways, and there's several ways to break it. Right? This isn't magic. Right? You can burn this to the ground nice and easy. This is meant for development. Right? Sandbox, all that fun stuff. Yes.
So can you only modify the data, or can you modify stored procedures? And
You can modify anything you want, and I'm going to show you that too. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create one database off of it and call it Sandbox. Right? This is my Sandbox. And then I'm going to create another one called Your Sandbox. Okay. Same thing. Run that. Cool.
Can you scroll over and just show us the
Oh, sure.
extension?
Yeah.
Thank you.
VMDF, VLDF, yep. It doesn't have to be. I can have done these as real databases. They would restore, but I'm doing them as virtuals because what I'm doing is mounting that one backup file from multiple locations, right?
And it is solely down to just adding the VM to that.
Yep. And having the software installed.
Well, yeah.
Little thing.
That too.
Now, I'm going to show you that I can modify my data. I'm going to go and use Movie Management Sandbox. I'm going to update it. I'm going to set the agent equal to Willie Norman, where the agent ID is equal to 42. And now I'm going to show you that only people up in front can see it. The agent name in your sandbox is not affected by the changes I made to my sandbox. So we have allowed ourselves to come to a point where we're both reading from the same place, but I can make modifications independent of you. Therefore, I've got a sandbox environment that I can screw up, burn down, mess up, drop tables, rearrange store procedures, do anything I want to it without hurting you. Yay. Okay? Yeah, oh yeah, it continues to grow. The more data that gets modified in here, those little tiny stub files, they turn into full-blown database files. And performance ain't too good, right? But, again, am I suggesting that we use this in production? No. Would I use this in production? No, not unless you've got matchsticks and put them under my fingernails or something. Even then, I probably would resist. Yes. Well, that's all through source control, and we'll get to that in a minute. Gosh, we're not there yet. All right. Let's make sure that we're not there yet. Yes. Okay, cool. Let's go back to slides for a second. You got to have slides because your question was perfect, right? What's going to get deployed? You've got to know. The only way you can know is to manage your code. And the only way you can manage your code is to get stuff into source control. And the only way you get source control is to make it a religion, the way developers do it. Guys, developers are smart, capable people. They are great. They know what they are doing. We need to emulate them in this area, right? Don't emulate them in T-SQL code. Emulate them here. Okay? Now, talk about tools for a second. Some of the tricks I'm showing you are RegGate specific, okay? They are. But this whole process of going to sandboxes, it's not. I don't care what tools you use. SSDT from Microsoft is a fantastic tool. Yeah, they shot it in the face from the original data dude because they dropped a few things, but they're eventually going to get added back in. Cool, whatever. It's great. It's a great, great tool. SSDT, SQL Server Database Tools. And I'm not knocking it. If you want to use that, cool, use it. Done. Oh, it's easy. Well, we're not covering that here. But Here's the thing. Use the tools you know. You guys are Visual Studio monsters? Cool. Use SSDT and you'll be off and running. You can get this thing up and running and go off with SSDT, no issues. But most of us use what? Management Studio. So you want to use Management Studio? Cool. Let's use Management Studio. Let's hook it in and let's couple it tightly with Management Studio, and let's use the tools we know to do the stuff we know, and that's where Regate comes in. Okay? Let's talk how. Oops. Oh yeah, I did it right. Huh. Who knew? If we look for a second over here, because I can't see what I'm doing, I have to mirror. Where is it? Wait. Where is it? Where'd it go? Okay. I give Object Explorer. There it is. All right. If we look over here, I've actually already got, and let's refresh this again. I've already got the my Sandbox built into source control because I cheat. I'm not going to show you guys how to hook it into source control. It's too simple. There's just nothing to it. But I will show you that it is in source control by going to someplace. Where is it? There. Thank you. All right. So I'm already hooked into source control from this database. It's great. No big deal. It's hooked in. It's ready to go. Now, we're in development, right? What's the one thing that always burns people? Yeah, we can fix it in 2012 a little easier. But we need to make a breaking change to production. We've got to modify structures in such a way that say they're not going to give us the default values, so we have to supply our own default value. Classic change, right? Everybody's running into that one. Why do they not have a default value? I don't know, but they don't. So you have to go through it and make that change. Here's the code. I'm going to use Movie Management Sandbox. I'm working in my Sandbox environment. I'm going to rename the table Studio. I'm going to alter it and drop constraints. Anybody shocked? Okay, cool. I'm going to create a new copy, and I'm going to add in this great new column, Studio Color, because we have to have the color on the Studio because somebody decided that having the color is really important. You guys don't work with those people? God, guess it's just me. All right. Set identity insert. I'm going to insert into Studio, selecting from Studio back, which was the table that I created. Then I'm going to alter it, add my constraints with check. Yes, add constraints with check. Otherwise, they are non-trusted constraints and therefore not used by the optimizer. Yeah, it's easy to show. And then I'm going to drop that old table. Okay? Cool. Let's run it. There we go. I'm going to run that. It ran, no errors. Yay. And now if I go and look at source control and go over here to commit changes, I'm going to wait patiently because this laptop is not that quick. Oh, you piece of junk. Come on. Hang on. We're going to do this a second time. And now we'll go to source control. And now we're going to commit these changes. Okay. Hey, okay. All right. Hang on. Take that explanation as written. Right? Rerun it. Okay, now we go to source control. And hey, we have changes. Come on, baby. There we go. Now, if anybody spot that there might be an issue someplace, just if you notice it, let me know.
I don't see any problem.
If you see anything, anybody see this part? As a DBA, developers, you may be going, yeah, whatever. DBAs just went, right? Collectively, oh my God. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix it. We're going to add a migration script. Now, migration scripts is a nice tool. What it does is allows you to say, okay, if this change is going to cause problems, Don't do it. Run this script instead. And you can go in here and start building out a database script. Oops, my window is really messed up. Oh, great. That's going to make this harder. Let's try it. Oop. Yay! Create and edit script. There we go. So it puts the script together. Now, everyone who believes that Redgate software walks on water, raise your hand. No. No, put your hands in. It's a joke. No. We screw up, okay? We make mistakes. Would you trust any script that just completely automated generated? Hell no. Why? You're going to test it. You're going to validate it. Great. But you know what? I already have a script. Didn't we just make this change? Mm-hmm. Hey, I know. Crazy idea. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to highlight this because I know exactly how it works because I've tested it. I'm going to take that, Control Copy. I'm going to come back over to here. Control Alt, Control V. Nope. Yeah, that got it. That's right, I think.
Let's just try every 11.
No. Okay, let's try it with the copy. Paste. There we go. Let's see if Control S works to save. Hey, look, miracles. Okay, I've got my tested script. I'm going to commit that. And now you see that both things are in there. And now when that commits, when there's a build later, it will take that script and run it. And that's it. And so instead of breaking my data, it will migrate my data the way I want it migrated in a way that I've tested it. Okay? Everybody with me? That's why we'll work out a source control. Now, all this crud that I just ran through over 45 minutes, who wants to do that for 10, 12, 15 different development teams?
70 databases.
Yay! 70 databases, 10, 15 development teams. Cool. No, no, no. No, it's not what interns are for. Anybody ever supported like between 7 and 10 development teams? It's fun, isn't it? It's constant, right? Development teams are going as fast as they possibly can, like they should. They're constantly making changes, as they should. And then they're coming to you, and you're going, slow down. I can't do this right now. What's your friend? Automation, right? Automation. Development is going on all the time. The businesses are constantly changing their requirements because, they blinked and it's a new world. Sorry, I'm making fun of business people. I can make fun of business people. I can. I shouldn't, but I can and will. All of this change causes pain, and so what you've got to do is you've got to automate. So let's do this. Let's automate our restores. Let's automate the data cleansing, and let's automate the deployments. We can do it all. We can do it all. Hey, cool, went back to the database. That's great. Every time it actually works, it's so cool. It's a bug. The vote of confidence is just overwhelming, I'm telling you. Closing all this stuff out. Let's go to here. Let's get back over here. Let's pin this. Let's switch to AdventureWorks because I don't need this anymore. Let's go and look at this. Font's nice and big, right? Anybody ever heard of PowerShell? Before we look at PowerShell, I'm going to cheat. Oh, stupid Windows. I don't have an F5 button. There it is. One worked and one didn't. That's interesting. This is Team City. Team City is cool. What I didn't tell you guys is that we were checking stuff in and out of source control. Every time we check something into source control, Team City did 2 deployments. I've got 2 deployments going on. One's an incremental deployment, meaning it only deploys changes, and one's doing a complete replace on the database every single time. And it's all automated and being triggered when it triggers successfully, because build 27 there is messed up. When it triggers successfully, where'd my mouse go? It runs. How does this look? Well, let's take a look. First off, you get general settings, set this up, blah, 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 blah. But if we go over here and take a look, you get version control settings. Team City allows you to hook directly to version control. Yeah. You go to version control, and you can decide how it checks stuff out. If it checks it out by label, it's all automatable, fully programmable. You can do it all on the fly. But I've just got it set up so it's going directly to one source inside of my SVN and then pulling stuff out. And then I've got build steps. And my build steps, in this case, I've got a command line that's dropping the database. Then I'm doing a recreate on the database. And then I'm doing a deployment from SQL source control from a Redgate tool that hooks directly into Team City. Team City users? Yay, SQL source control works with Team City. Direct. Yeah. Team City is an automation tool for doing deployments. It is like Cruise Control, except it was made by the guys who wrote Cruise Control and made better, because Cruise Control sucks. Not that I have an opinion. If I did have an opinion. And so I've set up a build trigger, and my build trigger is, get off the loading screen. It's not helpful. Come on. Anyway, the build trigger is every time it does a check-in. Now, is that what you would normally do? Oh, heck no, right? You get that idiot who's checking stuff in like this. That will cause problems. It will burn down, right? Especially if you get somebody like me, because I'll mess it up. I generally check stuff in and go, oh, crud, forgot to test. Check back out. Yes, I know. I mess up a lot. But anyway, that's how that works. Now let's go talk PowerShell. PowerShell is glorious. Who's not using PowerShell? And be proud. Say, I hate it. I'm raising my hand. I hate it. Most of the rest of you are lying, because not that many people are using PowerShell. PowerShell is glorious. All I'm doing is doing an import module. You guys see it in the back? Doing an import module, setting location to my local server, and then I am running a restore of database backup. And I'm running the restore, notice. You can see it, right? It's all through PowerShell. Nothing special, again, because these are straight commands. Nothing special. It runs as a file filter underneath, so I don't have to do anything tricky or weird inside of PowerShell. It does what I need it to do. It's right there, ready to go. So I'm running the restore. Then I'm running a invoke SQL command, and I'm doing an update resource set other details equal null. Same thing as I did before, right? Then I'm setting my location again. Then I'm doing a backup. And I'm doing the same backup as I did before. And then at this point, those steps that I just did there, if you guys were setting up a development environment for doing this kind of sandbox stuff, that's where you would stop for the first step, right? You would probably break it into 2 steps. Step number 1, set up this backup that we're going to share. Step number 2, run that restore process on my local server and start doing deployments. Okay? 2 steps. But I've got it here as a single script because I'm lazy. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to create a copy of my production environment by running a restore. Okay? Then you got choices. This is where things get fun. I can check everything out of source control, right? Do a full-on blown, pull it all down to my local file. Now I've got all these scripts that I had in source control, and then I can run a compare right from those scripts to the database and do build. That's not slick. Instead, what I'm going to do is run it directly to SQL compare. And again, you can call all this from, you can call every bit of this from PowerShell, right? It's all easy. And by the way, the script's posted on my blog. And I mean, this is hardly rocket science. Anybody could replicate it. But it's on my blog. And I'm doing the full compare with the migrations involved, and it will do the deployments automatically. Don't believe me. Okay. I wouldn't either. Forgot to set this up ahead of time. Let's see. CD, C:\\. Ever type during demos? / automate Sandbox refresh. What? Tab.
You hit the tab, it'll automatically hit correct.
Yeah. If it'll run. That's running awfully slow. Sure, yeah. No such thing as a dumb question.
The virtual restore thing we were looking at earlier?
Yeah.
This is the dumb question.
No such thing.
You know how you can mount MDF and an LDF across the SMB 3.0 share these days? You can't do that for multiple people at the same time, obviously, right?
I don't know. See, it's not a dumb question. It's a dumb answer. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pleading gross ignorance. Meantime, what's gone on is we've done the restores, we've done the backups, we've made the modifications, we've done another set of restores. It's now doing the deployments out of source control using SQL compare, all on the fly, all automated. So all the stuff that I walked through step by step, showing you how to do it all, just got run through one set of command scripts.
Putting it through the shared server, like this isn't what you compare for a production deployment.
Oh, no. This is all that local stuff where I'm just pounding on things. I'm dropping databases, I'm replacing them. Anybody who can do a drop and replace in a production environment? I can't do that. So this finished up and it made all the changes that I told it to make. And that's it. It's ta-da. I mean, that's the magic right there. Any questions on that? Sure? Okay, cool. So, quick recap. Process-focused development. I don't care what process you use. I really don't. But I'm telling you, as DBAs, you guys must talk to your development team. Yeah, you must talk to them. You must talk to your development team. And you must start to understand what they do and how they do it, because they are smart and they are capable. And they've got processes in place to make sure that they've got deployments that work for their code. You need to bring in the expertise that you have for making the database do the same thing. And I strongly recommend, in order to get better developers, you give them that sandbox environment so they can learn. Because they will go there, they will burn things down, but they do it over there. Right? What do you care if somebody's house burns down that you don't know, you don't see, you're never going to be involved with, and nobody died in the process? Right? It's completely not a big deal. Nothing happened effectively. Right? Nobody got hurt, nobody got injured, and someone learned something. That's what a sandbox is supposed to be, a safe place to screw up. Give them that. Let them run. Right? Work out a source control, and then, my God, automate the process. Make sure that you've got some sort of mechanisms. I don't care if you're using TeamCity. You know, I mean, I made a joke about the other one, cruise control. Cruise control's fine. I just found it more complicated than TeamCity. There's nothing wrong with cruise control. I don't care which process you use. Hook into it, automate it, make it easier. You know, yeah, PowerShell is flipping awesome. But, you know, it doesn't matter which you use. Just make sure you do it. Resources, one, you guys can all get copies of the slides, so don't worry about copying this down. But on Simple Talk, if you look at it, I've got a thing on how to do sandbox development. So all the scripts and stuff is all up there in an article. So you didn't have to come here today at all. Tricked ya, got you at the end. Oh, and there's chocolate downstairs. Okay, so we're only going to go for another hour here. All right, so are there any questions? Yes, sir. Does virtual restore work with a replicated database? Well, no, not really. I mean, because again, it's backup and restore, right? Replication is a completely different process, right? So it's not, I mean, you can back up a replicated database, yeah, and then you can use that backup copy to do a virtual restore, yeah, but it's still backup and restore is the key. Does that answer the question?
Right. So I can update on the virtual restore backup.
Oh, can you put replication into that? Sure. Yeah, why not? Why would you? You could do it, guaranteed. I don't know why you would, because as that data changes, the whole magic of like having those little stub files, they expand out, and now you got the same full-size database you had before. So oh, hey, you're right. My God, that's a great idea. He's right. So you could do it to. Yeah, you can use it for reporting, but again, for the reporting, the stub files are going to grow out as the replication data comes in. So it kind of defeats that purpose a little bit. But that's a fantastic idea on the testing. Yeah, thank you. Well done.
Does it work against the
His hand was up.
data?
No, go ahead.
Does it work? Can you do the same thing with a database that has multiple file groups with multiple files?
Yes.
And works the exact same way?
Yes, works exactly the same way. Yeah, because it's nothing magic. It's a file filter underneath. Yes, sir.
Have you tried doing this, or have you used this in on the QA environment as opposed to the development environment, so that you are guaranteed to have that copy of production?
I have used it in a QA environment. It doesn't hurt anything. Actually, I'll leave that up in case anybody wants to write it down. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't, no, it works fine. Because again, read, write, updates all work. One thing I will say about this, I don't think I emphasized it. I would strongly recommend this is in a temporary environment, right? This isn't the kind of thing, oh, I set up dev, and now dev's in place for the next 6 months. Right? Because it's just going to grow, it's going to fill up the space, and it's not going to work that well. The idea is like you would probably create that backup when no one else is online. Once every 1 week, every 2 weeks, something like that, and then the developers would be required to do a refresh. Yes?
But you could use it like in a test environment where you want to replicate the initial test data and stuff.
Absolutely.
In full restore.
Sure.
Is it more performant?
No. No, this thing doesn't perform that well, right? I mean, there is an overhead to it. Is it radical? No, you saw stuff going on. I mean, it worked fine, but it won't be the same as a actual database.
But creating the VOD, the virtual copy it's got to be cheaper than bringing in a whole restore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of time, yes, it is cheaper, but it is not free. It's about a 40 to 60% reduction in all the tests I've done. Okay, if there's no other questions, we are done, and there's chocolate downstairs. Yeah, thank you. And I have to get to the next room.